Greetings, Admirals. This is the Sarcasm Detector, and in this video, I'm coming to you from over the North Pole in Earth orbit. We're going to be looking at the Herald Vonph Dreadnought Carrier Tier 6 today. The ship was released as the grand prize of the Herald Lockbox, which came out with Season 11. As the grand prize, this one is a little bit more rare than normal. It only has a 1 in 400 chance of dropping, as opposed to the normal grand prize drop rate of between 1 in 200 and 1 in 250. In this video, we're going to start out looking at the outside of the ship real quick. Following that, we're going to jump in and take a look at the ship's stats and the build I have running on her. After that, we're going to take a look at a few different shield visuals and see how they look like on the ship. Then a PvE run. And finally, at the end, the conclusion, we'll be giving our final opinion of the ship and a final verdict. Again, much appreciation goes to Rahmi Starchaser for helping me procure the ship in order to do a review video. Let's start off with looking at the ship mastery, starting at Tier 1 quick deployment for the hangar pets. Extra hit points at Tier 2, extra kinetic and all energy damage at Tier 3, and increased shield hit points at Tier 4. At Tier 5, the mastery is peak efficiency, which gives you a all bridge officer cooldown reduction as long as your hull hit points are over 80%. Ship stats, it's got 3,000 crew. On this build, I am running a PTR of 15.5, 88k hull, 13k shield facings, and the hull repair rate is only 121%. This is not a cruiser, this is actually a tactical ship. So the hull repair rate is going to be a little bit low. This is what I got for resistances. Crit chance and severity are lower than I usually like. And you can see here the flight speed and turn rate plus the inertia rating. Traits include ablative shell, beam barrage, elusive fluidic cocoon, inspirational leader, intense focus, self-modulating fire, particle manipulator, and point-blank shot. Starship traits, emergency weapon cycle, all hands on deck, invincible, reciprocity, and improved pedal to the metal. For space reputations, I'm running Enhanced Armor Pen and Advanced Engines because it really needs any help it can in this area here. Auxiliary Power Configuration Offensive, increased crit chance, and finally increased crit severity. Quick look here. So I've gone through several different builds and different bridge officer layouts, and this is what I've finally landed on. Pretty much the most comfortable I can get on the ship. Oh, of course, running a Beta 3, Fire at Will 3, Chemosite 2, and this copy of Fire at Will 1 is just in case I don't get enough cooldowns for the Fire at Will 3. Attack Team 1. Emergency power to weapons 3 and 1. Ox to Sif here. You can run a directed energy modulation or a reverse shield polarity, whatever you like in that spot. Engineering team and override subsystem safeties. Gravity well. You can run a Tychon's Drift in here. Hazard emitters and science team. Normally, if I'm running against mirror ships, I swap things around like this. Bridge officers, I have Agent Nerul for extra healing during attack pattern beta. 2 maintenance engineers to reduce the cooldown of my engineering team to 15 seconds. 4 core engineer to give me extra power when I'm firing off my emergency powers. This new matter antimatter specialist has a chance of shutting down enemy engines when they are in a gravity well. And then there's the quartermaster, which reduces the cooldown of these little pieces of candy right here. The gear is pretty basic. Running beam arrays, the Iconian 4-piece. I have the subspace field modulator for a little bit extra defense. Plasmonic reach. Conductive RCS with EPS. And in this case, I'm running the polymorphic probe array. This can be switched out for a few different consoles. 4 embassy consoles, 3 of which are party gens, and 1 flow console for a little bit extra power balance. The 4 locator consoles, and the elite frigate pets, which I'll leave open for a couple of seconds for you guys to take a look at. The console this ship comes with is the Oblivion Gateway model, which gives us a little bit extra exotic damage and some extra resistances. Additionally, its activation creates a little AoE radiation anomaly, which lasts for 30 seconds, and every 6 seconds will do a pulse of radiation damage, which has 100% shield penetration. It's a fairly interesting ship. I'm not 100% convinced about how good it is, considering how much the asking price is. But I'll leave that to the conclusion of the video. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the different shield visuals. We're going to start out by looking at the Iconian Resilience Shield. The Aegis Covariant Shield. The Counter Command Covariant. The Delta Alliance Unimatrix. The Dielectric Oscillation Resilient Shields. The Dyson Regenerative. The Jem'Hadar Resilient. The Mako Resilient Shield. The Nukara Crystalline Resilient. The Riemann Prototype Covariant. So you just saw a Federation fleet alert followed by a infected space normal. Why normal? Because I guess I accidentally queued for that instead of advanced. I'm not gonna go back and repeat it because the point is made. You get to see how the ship controls. Final thoughts on this ship. Starting off, I have some really big issues with it, and I'll list them off in no particular order. The first thing is the ship size. It is probably the biggest, or it is the biggest player ship in the game. It is roughly about twice the volume, if not more, than the next biggest ship, the Cheshire. And the issue here is if you're running with the standard field of view, it actually blocks out pretty much most of the game. Even if you zoom all the way back, it doesn't let you see anything. All you see is the ship itself. So you actually have to go in and you have to change the field of view to at least a minimum of 75. I'm running it at about 80 degrees. The default is 50. So in order to have the ship, in order to run the ship properly, you actually have to start messing with your graphic settings and change stuff from default, like the FOV, and I believe the command for that is / set region FOV space and then 80. I find that a bit annoying. Even at 80, it does still take up a lot of real estate on the screen, and perhaps a FOV of 100 might even be better, but that has its own issues. Number 2 issue I have with this ship, it is very slow, it is unwieldy, and at times it is very hard to control. For a Dreadnought carrier, I'm used to the Narcine, and even the Jem'Hadar Dreadnought carrier are a lot easier to control. I find myself a lot of times getting out of position, having a hard time controlling the ship, positioning it, and this is after a week of flying with the ship. I've gone through multiple of the 4-hour fleet buffs. I actually wanted to give the ship a chance. This is why I delayed this video by a week, just so I could get the hang of it, and really I haven't, and I can't wait to get out of the ship and get into something else, like the Anoraks, for example, which is ironically a lot more nimble than this ship. Third issue I have with this Vonph is its frigate pets. They're lazy, they're very slow to actually follow around. I guess it's a good thing that they actually do follow me around in the ship, but a lot of the time when I'm moving from A to B, they're very slow getting to B themselves, and most of the targets at B are already dead. So, not that good. Also, the frigate pets aren't that good DPS wise. They are outperformed by the Romulan drones, for example. The Narcine's pets outperformed them. The Jem'Hadar Dreadnoughts, the attack ships outperformed them. The Recluse pets outperformed them. So, expensive pets and not really worth it, in my opinion. The fourth issue I have with this ship is the bridge officer seating. Now, there are some positives. It is a little bit more flexible than its contemporary, the Narcine, and even the Jem'Hadar Dreadnought carrier. Whereas the Narcine had a lack of engineering seating. It only had the lieutenant engineer. It did have a locked-in ensign tactical. On this ship, the locked-in ensign has been converted into a lieutenant universal, so that's it's a lieutenant ensign, so that's a little bit more flexible in that regard. However, the problem that I have is that the intel seat is on the Lieutenant Engineer, which I don't understand. This makes it very difficult to actually make a build on this ship. Otherwise, if you want to use something like override subsystem safeties, you kind of have to either use the Universal Ensign as an engineer, which isn't enough. You end up lacking in heals and have to spend a lot of traits and perhaps other ways of healing yourself, which isn't really optimal. Or you want to use the Lieutenant Commander as an engineer, and you lose the flexibility there to run it as either a science or tactical. Ideally, you'd want to run that Lieutenant Commander as a tactical, and that would give you the same setup as a scimitar. Unfortunately, if you do want to run Intel, you have no choice but to run that Lieutenant Commander as an engineer, which kind of, like I said, limits the build possibilities on the ship. The last problem I have with this ship that I'm going to talk about is its cost. Now, this isn't a limited time ship. The ship is going to be dropping for the full time that the Herald lockbox is available, which is 3 months. It is a little bit rarer in the drops. It drops at a rate of 1 in 400 approximately, opposed to the regular drop rate of lockbox ships, which is about 1 in 250 approximately, give or take maybe 5 to 10%. So it is rare, but it isn't that rare. It isn't as rare as the Cheshire or the Anoraks or the attack ships, for example. However, it is costing significantly more than they do. Current sales going on in the private trading channels is upwards of 900 million, approaching $1 billion, and in some cases I've heard that the ship is selling for over $1 billion, which is just, in my opinion, frankly ridiculous. Performance-wise, the ship is pretty much on paper on par with the Narcine and the Jem'Hadar Dreadnought, which are the same class or the same type of ships that they are. However, it does have the override subsystem safeties that it can run, which gives it a little bit of a performance boost over those ships. However, its slowness, its inability to move and position itself well, actually end up giving it poorer performance than the Narcine. So, all in all, final verdict on this ship, I'm going to give you 2 numbers. If you lucked out and managed to get the ship to drop out of a box and got it for free, then I'll be fair and give you a 6.5 out of 10 for the ship. However, if you're thinking of buying the ship with in-game currency, I am sorry, I have to give this a buyer beware. This is potentially a lemon. It gets a 5 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it informative. If so, give us a like, and if you haven't already, remember to subscribe and share this video with all your friends. Have yourselves a good day.